podcast, an update on the COVID-19 hunting and fishing closures across the United States. And it's to give the sportsmen a kind of an insight of what's going on and where it's going on, and just kind of to help them out, Chief. And I'm with Chief Steve Bear of Washington State, and I really thank you so much for joining me. And my co-host John was trying to join us, but we've had some technical difficulties. But it's pretty awesome that we can talk from New Hampshire to Washington State. Just still blows my mind. So coming as a 23-year veteran of, when we started with cell phones in a bag, and used to have to drive and pick up the phone at the local hardware store or something to make those calls, Chief. So, but thanks again for joining and filling us in.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Happy to be here this morning. And this COVID, it's one thing, it's really it's testing our limits of technology. I think our officers were probably the most prepared in our entire department, because we work from our houses usually, so we already had air cards on our computers, so it hasn't been as big a hurdle for them as it has the rest of the agency, but we're stretching our IT limits to the max, trying to telework everybody. So.
And you were the first state to really have this COVID-19 focused on you, and then so you're going to be the first one to work through this whole thing probably and come out before everybody else does. So, and how'd you start and where'd you go?
Yeah, we were the first state to have a case reported. I think our governor took some pretty harsh steps right away. I mean, even back in March, we initially closed sport fishing. Back in March 25th, we made that decision, and
that's to everybody, right?
That was to everybody. Yeah. That was a tough call, but the governor had instituted a stay home, stay healthy policy that basically, if you weren't considered essential, they didn't want you out traveling. And there was a lot of thought given to that within our agency. I mean, we're all sportsmen and women. We like to get out and recreate, and it really wasn't the act of fishing itself that was the problem. It was all those other activities associated with it, traveling to there, getting gas, getting groceries. And what we saw the weekend before then was some of our small counties had a large influx of people coming there to recreate, and they just wiped out their supplies in the stores. People were upset.
Yeah.
And we were getting a lot of calls from the county saying, Fish and Wildlife, you're killing us with some of these openers. And our little county can't handle it. And they were really worried too about the health of their citizens, because in those small counties, they don't have the capacity to deal with a lot of sick people, small hospitals, small number of respirators, things like that. So the county health officials, county commissioners were making calls to my director and saying, hey, you got to help, you got to work with us on this. So that's what led to the first closure. We were kind of hoping that would only be a couple weeks. But as this thing has continued to progress and spread across the country, and then the governor instituted the stay home, stay healthy into May now, closed all schools, taken some pretty drastic steps to try and isolate everybody. Didn't really see how we could go against that, and then against our train of thought before to close these. We're a science agency. We want the public to believe in our science. We're not medical experts. We have to take their word that this is what's going to get us through this. And as much as none of us like it, we felt like it was the right thing to do. And I can tell you, our director was really torn. I remember him saying, I'm 51-49. I don't like this at all. But I think really what caused them to do that was the counties. We had several counties. They asked every county to respond back, and every one of them that did said, don't open it. We don't want a bunch of people showing up in our county. We can't handle it. And a couple counties even went so far to say, if you do open it, we're going to use everything we have in the county to close it. So
yeah, we're working against that. We don't want that. That's for sure.
We don't want that. It's tough. I mean, this is like the perfect opportunity when people have spare time, they're not working, to get out with their families and do the things that we're always encouraging them to do. And then we're telling them, no, you can't do it. So
it's especially for doors people, that's a tough thing because now I usually don't have the time to get out there and recreate. Now I do have the time, and now I can't do it. That's got to be frustration, and I'm sure you're seeing that as well. But to hear the other side, that when you have openers and you have those big influx of people that are wiping out materials that they need, whether it's toilet paper, paper towels, food, and having such an impact on a small community, that's huge. That's definitely huge.
Yeah, some of our coastal communities really got hit hard. It's like everybody wanted to go to the beach that weekend, and stores just got wiped out. And so where are those folks? They're going to have to travel to other counties just to shop now.
Yeah.
And gosh, there's still so many unknowns. I mean, time
Yes.
will tell if this was the right decision, I think. But you're making educated guesses here.
Yeah.
No one
Any
knows.
officers affected, Chief?
We haven't had any officers test positive.
Great.
We have some officers that have some unique situations where they've got a family member where that might have a compromised health system where they're a little bit concerned. We're trying to isolate them from as much as we can. But so far, thank goodness, none of our officers themselves has been affected here.
Yeah, no, and I know a bunch of game wardens have nurses as wives. My wife's a pharmacist, so we seem to be connected to that medical field. And there's a lot of extra things that go along with that when something like this happens, with the family and the dynamics and the kids staying home. I know that's had a big effect on my household, so I know the officers I'm sure are feeling it, and I'm sure
Yeah,
everybody really wants to get back to normal, but this is part of that process. And I love that you said we're a science-based agency, which every fish and game department should be. That's what we base all setting our limits on, setting our everything. That's what we're supposed to go by. It's not supposed to be a personal feel-good type thing. We got to go with the science, and we got to believe in that science. And that you're right. That's exactly what we're doing, and that's what we need to do. And just across the nation, as the different ones, and different states are different. Let's face it. From Maine to Washington, and that's what I really want to give a segment to see what's going on and where. So if you happen to recreate in another state, look and check before you go, because it may or may not be open. We haven't had any closures as of yet in New Hampshire, but I'm not saying there won't be. But we still haven't restricted, like turkey hunting's coming right up for non-residents. They haven't made some moves. They're going to be doing some online registration, which I didn't think I would see for a long time in our small state, because that has a big financial impact on us, but it's pushed us into using technology, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, this has definitely had a large impact on our agency financially. I mean, our license sales, we're losing a lot of money every day on license sales. We're hoping that if we're able to provide the opportunity in the future, that those sales will come back. There'll probably be some lost sales for this, and that our agency depends on a lot of that to sustain itself. So it would be easy for us to say we have to do this to survive, but
right. And most fish and wildlife agencies across the country still rely on license sales. We are generally mostly self-funded agencies. And then the matches with the federal dot holders as well. That'll be interesting on how that sugars off as well. But definitely,
that's a big part of our agency's budget is through license sales.
Yeah. And that's what reinforces to the outdoor person that they don't want to do this. This is a have to do, because it's going to affect everything that they do. So, and maybe it'll affect wildlife and fish, some ways positive, some way negative. Maybe we don't have an impact on them this year. Maybe there's a larger brood stock, and following a better year class somewhere. Maybe, who knows? It'll be interesting, but I think we've done the science ahead of time to know what we can expect.
Yeah, we hope there's some of those good things. My biggest worry with the officers, they're on the front lines of this. They're having to deal with the public. A lot of them are wardens in the town where they grew up. They know people. People are upset about this. I mean, it's something near and dear to a lot of them, and they're kind of caught in the middle of that. So I think in today's day with social media, there's so much of that right in your face. Why are you doing this?
Right.
You guys don't know what you're talking about. And some people have been very, very vocal. Big mistake. it's hard to ignore that stuff when it's coming bombarding you like that, and that can have effect on a person's morale.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But certainly, again, it's nothing that we would want to see happen, and that's why I think it's important to get our message out to people in a podcast like this, because we do have this technology. We are able to share this information. That's why I want to share from Maine to Washington and in between, and just get a feel and what we're doing, and so give that sportsman that extra bit of information that they can use. So, so if I tried to buy a Washington fishing hunting license right now, I cannot, right? That's been shut down.
I think you might still be able to do it online, actually.
Right.
You might still be able to buy one online. But the office itself is shut down. They can't come in and buy a license. Many of our offices, they're all shut down.
But you'd still be buying licenses, but it probably has information right there to tell you that right now you can't use it. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Nope, that's great. I really appreciate you taking the time, Chief, to talk to Warden's Watch and get this out and try to get this information to the people. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.